Are you in pain? Do you know someone who is in pain? Does life just freaking suck right now? Well, you're in luck because
Hurt.
today's episode, yeah, you hurt. Because today's episode, we're going to talk about how to cope with pain. This is the Existential Stoic podcast. I'm Randy. That's Danny. What's going on, Danny?
What's up, Randy?
Danny, this episode I wanted to do because I have been in pain for it's going on 3 weeks right now. Some back and neck pain
I
and
know it
everything.
feels
I
like
have some
forever
like
because you bitch
pain
about it
patches
so
on.
much. No.
Dude, it is,
Just kidding.
and you know what's the crazy thing is that looking back, pain kind of fades a little bit because like this is one of the most painful things I can remember. But like, I mean, I was hit by a car and I
Yeah.
survived that. So like I'm pretty sure that was painful and I broke bones and stuff. But like in terms of memory, this is pretty much the worst. And it
Well,
makes life suck.
it does. And you know what's funny though? It's like we intentionally don't remember that stuff because you think about it, if we did like, they always say like if a woman remembered how painful pregnancy was, they would never want to have a kid again. Like one would be plenty. You would never want to do that again. So it's like it's funny because that happens to us a lot where I notice like we things I used to always think that like I had friends who did like rode motorcycles and stuff when I was young and jumped them and stuff. And like I remember them like breaking bones and stuff. I was like, dude, how do you get back on it? But I think that's part of it is you just don't like you don't remember because you would never do that thing again if you did remember how bad it hurt.
Yeah.
And it's like so it just fades away after a while. It's weird. Yeah.
Yeah. But in the moment, the
It
worst
sucks.
freaking thing on earth. And
Yeah.
so for the past 3 weeks, I've been going through whatever. And dude, it's been making my life like I turn into a piece of shit. Like really, just very irritable, like moody, just a crab,
Well,
basically.
think about it though. When you're in pain, like you have to, I think we forget how much energy it takes us to like compensate when we're in pain or when we're not feeling well to do the normal things we do. So like, your energy levels are probably real low. So you're like your anger, your frustration, all that's going to be amped up real high because your triggers are going to be real small, right? You
Oh,
don't have the energy to cope and to let things go. So it's like, yeah, you feel everything. It
dude,
sucks.
and yeah, my sleep's been out the window because like I wake up
Yeah.
every couple hours. And it's kind of funny because like I heard about the attribution bias recently where we think that when other people do messed up stuff it's because there's something wrong with them, like that it's their personality, but when we do
Yeah.
messed up stuff it's because of the situation. So like I'm a
Yeah.
complete jerk here and I'm like,
Mhm.
oh, it's because I'm in pain, but somebody else is doing this stuff and I'm like, they're a mess, like they have a terrible personality, what's wrong with them?
They're
And
assholes.
yeah, so this is one of the benefits of being in pain is I can kind of see this stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah,
It's fine. That's a good point though. It is a good chance to like just remember that like other people go through stuff too. Because we don't think of other people as real whole people. We never do with an inner life. And so like when they are mean to us, we interpret everything within that moment rather than thinking like, well maybe they had a bad day. Maybe they had a fight with their loved one, maybe they're in pain, maybe somebody died. You don't know. Right? So all these things could have, just reduced their ability to handle life. Because that's kind of what it does. It's like being in pain like reduces your ability to handle things significantly. And it's like,
significantly.
yeah, it's hard. And it's scary too, I think, because like, I think most of us too like fear, the slow degradation of our body basically over time. And like whenever we get injured and stuff, it like kind of is scary because it's like, is this what it's gonna be like, later or forever? And yeah,
Dude, when you're
terrifying.
in it, you think it's gonna be like this forever.
Yeah.
Like,
And like you'll never get
yeah.
used to it. Like, you'll
Mhm.
never adjust.
And just
Yeah.
like perspective of life goes out the window. Like we were talking about this last week, how like when I'm in
Yeah.
pain, I'm like, man, most of my life is just terrible. But then when I'm not, I'm like, yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah.
It's really bad. Yeah, we're terrible at like judging things, I think. It's really funny. There's a dog, when I walk my dog, there's one dog around here that walks that only has 3 legs. And it's so
Hmm.
funny how fast animals adapt to things like that. Like he looks so happy and like fine. Like, it's like, he hops a lot, but that's okay, he gets
Yeah.
around. And it's just funny, like they don't seem to have that like the conscious like self-reflection thing is terrible in a lot of cases because we just focus on stuff. Like when you're in pain, you focus on the pain all the time and how it's in the way rather than like, you know, doing other things and taking your mind off it.
I've actually been so I was trying to do that because like there were a couple days where the pain was, especially when I wake up in the morning, where the pain was just like on the
Oh
border
God,
of
yeah, the morning's
unbearable.
brutal. Yeah, right, because
Like
you've been
just
sleeping and like you're in stiff and
yeah,
all.
and
Yeah,
the pain medications have worn off, and like it's just like. But I tried a few days. I tried like meditating with it because I was reading stuff about like the pain body and whatever, and about how most of the pain that we experience is like past pain. It's not actually present pain. So if we could stay present with the pain and see how it moves and shifts, then you know, oh my God. I mean, granted, there is truth to it. Like I saw it moving around the body. I saw that, come and go in waves, but there were some points where it was just like the most intense, excruciating thing on earth. And yeah.
is
So
it
I,
like
I
a
actually
is it like
I
a
actually
nagging
thought of this
pain or a
topic.
sharp, intense pain?
Oh dude, it goes dull to like waves of just sharp pain.
Yeah, that's hard. That's where it's the worst too. I hate that because it's like, yeah, it's jarring when that happens.
And it's like and there's like no it affects like my whole left side and arm and shoulder and everything, and there's no
Yeah.
comfortable position, period.
Oh, yeah.
Like yeah, so it's just been a mess. But oh yeah, so one of the reasons I wanted to do this episode is because I was like, how do people with chronic pain live? Like
Yeah.
people, I mean, how can you even do this? Like if this is your life forever, how do you possibly live? So I look up like how to deal with chronic pain, and the suggestions suck. Like
Yeah.
literally, they suck. It's like uh relax. You know?
Breathe.
I dude, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Relax, breathe, meditate, uh get a massage. Like but it's just like I look at
Stop
that stuff and I'm
crying.
like, yeah.
That's what it
I
would be.
but I'm like, relax. I'm like, are you freaking serious? Like,
Yeah.
how can you possibly relax when you're in pain? Like when you're hurting this bad? Like I get that. I mean, I do
Yeah.
ice baths and it hurts, and you can learn to relax in that hurt. But like this is next level,
Yeah,
different
but
type of
there's
stuff.
also a difference though. There's a big difference between willingly and knowingly subjecting yourself to an ice bath that you know lasts for X amount of time, where the pain's going to
Mm-hmm.
peak and then go away, and you can get out whenever you want. That's
Mm.
a big, there's a big difference between
Ooh,
that and then something where you have no control over when it ends. And I think
that's
that
a
is the
really good
difference.
point.
Yeah. Yeah, the
Yeah,
ice baths, yeah, I mean, I teased you about that before, but it has nothing to do with it because really, like, there's, that's a situational thing that you construct. It's not something that you have no control over. And that's the hard part.
yeah. I mean, because theoretically, like pain eventually will go. Like when I die, pain will be gone or
Yeah,
whatever, or it'll recede
theoretically.
on its own beforehand. But the thing is that it, you make a good point with the ice bath. Is like I know that that's going to be 3 minutes or 5 minutes or
Yeah,
whatever, but like
yeah,
this, I have no freaking idea. Like I thought this is probably the longest that I can remember being in pain for any one period of time,
yeah.
and it's just like, well, it seems like it'll just go on forever. Like, how am I supposed to know
Well,
when this
like,
thing will end?
think about it. If you knew with certainty that like it was going to be 2 weeks, it would suck, but you would know it's going to end. So you just tell yourself, I just gotta get through today, another day, and you knock those days out, and then before you know it'll be over. But like when you don't know, that's the scary thing because then you don't know when it's going to end. You don't know when it's going to go away, and then that fear of like it lasting forever becomes
Mm-hmm.
real, and that like yeah, terrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very
And
hard.
so I was also, when I was doing the meditating, I was thinking about like, what is actually going on? Because, like, yeah, there's pain, but like, the pain is kind of a rationalization. Like, there's a sensation, and
Yeah,
I rationalize that that's pain, and I judge that I don't like that. So like, really, I was thinking about it a lot, and I was like, really, what's happening is this is just like an extremely uncomfortable moment,
yeah.
you know? Like,
It's an
and
uncomfortable feeling. Like that's all it
yeah,
is. And like the only reason why we interpret it bad as pain is because that's our interpretation of it. It is just a
because we
feeling.
don't
And
like uncomfortable moments.
yeah, but in some sense it's in some weird sense it's no different than feeling pleasure or no different than feeling hot or cold, right? It's just a
Mm-hmm.
feeling that we then interpret and the interpretation adds a lot to it and adds meaning to it. I mean, pain's tricky because I think like, there's obviously that evolutionary thing of like when we're in pain, it's also a reminder to the body so that we can heal, right? not to do things that are going to make it worse or hurt it, to be careful, right? So it does give us good information, I guess you could say, to not, cause the situation to be worse. But it is just it's just a feeling, right? And it's
Yeah.
easier said to think that way than when you're not in pain, though. But still, yeah,
Hmm.
it is weird though. It is
Yeah.
hard to deal with too. Pain just it
Yeah.
just sucks. It's just life is hard. It is. It is very hard.
Hmm.
Because even when we do things right, these things happen. Like that's the other thing. Like it's not like you do anything necessarily wrong. You're very
Dude,
physically active. You're very physically
apparently
fit.
this is like from exercising. Apparently. So from being healthy and exercising, this is a exercise induced rotator cuff syndrome. So like
Yeah.
apparently from trying to be healthy and do all that stuff, that's what you get. Damned if
You
you
get
do,
hurt.
damned if you don't,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's brutal. And then it just
Yeah.
sucks too, because pain is just like I think all of us do when we deal with it. It just wears us down. It just makes life, you know, and I think that's part of our problem too, is that like we don't rest as much as people used to. We don't have as much downtime. Like we do have downtime, but we're always stressed about something, about some like thing that has to get done and all this. And so like all of our days use up all of our energy. We don't have a lot of excess, I don't think.
Mm,
Like, and I
yeah.
think so it's hard because whenever something happens, that just puts this, huge burden on you for energy that you don't have access to.
Hmm.
Yeah. And now you're
Yeah.
stuck with it.
Exactly. So there was one thing that they didn't have on the list that I thought was actually kind of useful. I don't
Oh
know if
yeah?
it'll be helpful, but actually crying. You said stop crying, but actually crying kind of helps. Like there was a point where the pain was like on the verge on unbearable. I was on like max dose of all pain medications. The pain was like pretty much
Yeah.
unbearable. And I was just like, I surrender, like you win, you
I
know?
give
And,
up.
and I
It
was just like,
hurts.
I was just crying. And, like it happened while I was going for a walk too, to like try and like get out of my head from the pain. But like then I felt I don't know if it was endorphin release or something, but I felt like this release, and then like I felt a very strong connection with life. Like I felt like I could look in other people's eyes and see if they were in pain too. It was a pretty interesting thing.
That's interesting. I think that
Mhm.
makes sense though, because well, they do say crying does release. It does do something. I forget what hormonal or like chemical thing it is, but it definitely does make you feel like better afterwards. And it probably
Mhm.
is like it's some sort of endorphin or something probably helped, right? You probably hit that breaking point, and that was like it might also just be like an emotional release too, like just that stress, from it. Because I
Yeah.
think like that could also be it. I mean, I'm sure you're not working out as much, so you probably have also pent up stress and energy and stuff that you're not,
Mhm.
because you're not doing that stuff too. Yeah, it's
Yep.
very difficult. Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah. It's been a challenge because it changes everything about life, like just being in pain.
It
Man.
does. Do you think it can bring us? I mean, that's interesting when you said too about like yeah, maybe like making you be able to see like if other people are in pain or stuff, just thinking like differently, seeing things differently, like if it can help us in that way. Because like I know Nietzsche used to say like yeah, because he had suffered from obviously untreated syphilis, so he had like migraines and stuff, and he used to talk about a certain clarity he would get sometimes when he was like after a really painful episode, like a
Hmm.
certain clarity in that like things die down a little, and then there's like this moment where like you feel more rational, more clear than before because like all of a sudden you get a break from these heavy emotions and feelings.
Yeah. Yeah, it was freaking nuts. It was like another sense.
Yeah, that's
Hmm.
interesting.
Yeah.
So how
But
do you how should
yeah.
people deal with pain though? I don't know how people chronic pain's a pain, dude. I don't know how people do it because like it is hard. That's a tough one. Like, and we
Well,
don't
so
our medical industry does not treat pain very well either.
I don't know. Very poorly. Very poorly.
Yeah,
Well, like the thing is, it kind of we don't have very good solutions. Like, I mean, literally, in terms of like pain management, there's a few different classes of pain medications, but if they don't work, then you're screwed.
yeah,
Like I
yeah. And
remember
that's
that when I was
basically their
working as
only
a
thing.
vet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that when I was working as a vet, there were some animals that like you could throw the whole, pharmacy at them and they would still be in pain. And it's just
Mm.
like how, until you get to a certain like strength of pain medication, but like once you get to that strength of pain medication, they're addictive and they have diminishing returns. Like you can only
Yeah.
stay on that for so long, or else you're just going to keep on increasing your dose until it's not effective.
Yeah, and that's what
So,
happens to a lot of people too, because you get in situations where you need that, and those medications too, usually you have to keep increasing them in order to get the
mhm,
same effect, which is also problematic, you know?
which stinks. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
it
it does.
stinks.
It
Yeah,
does.
yeah. So
Critical
yeah,
condition.
how do you deal with pain? I read something that meditation is actually does decrease pain,
Okay, so
or at least your experience of pain.
that makes sense. I mean, it's taking, if you think about taking time to just sit, reflect, be present, and like, I think we don't do that a lot. We don't acknowledge things a lot. We tend to try to ignore them and just keep going. And
Hmm.
meditation forces you to stop. And I think that is a good thing when we're dealing with pain and
Yeah.
stuff is to stop and like acknowledge it.
It's probably helpful to have a meditation practice before the pain starts or
Yes.
gets really
Yeah.
bad
Yeah.
because that's not the time to pick it up.
Oh God, no, that would be like the worst time to start. Yeah. Yeah. Knowing what
Yeah.
you're doing ahead of time would be very helpful in that situation, at least. Yeah.
Uh, you know what was actually also helpful was I imagined what would I say to you if you were in pain?
You get one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was pretty good. Because like it happened where I was in a public situation, like a social situation, and the pain was really bad, and all of a sudden I was like completely triggered and
Yeah.
in a social situation where I couldn't like just leave immediately. And I was kind of getting on my own case about how I handled it. But then I was thinking, well, if that happened to Danny, what would I say to him? And
Yeah.
then I just said that to myself, and I was like, okay, cool, it's
Yeah.
good.
So self-compassion is good, right? Because
Yeah.
well, that's the other problem. You get in pain and we, I think that's our other issue is we don't how do you say that? We don't like adjust our day according to how we are equipped to deal with it, you know? And we don't like if we're in pain, we don't like, oh, okay, I'm in pain today, so I can only probably do 50% of what I would normally do, so I'll cut that to 50%. We still try and do 100% or 110, and then we get mad at ourselves for failing because we don't feel good. Where instead it would be much smarter to just acknowledge that you're in pain and give yourself a break and be compassionate and say, okay, I can probably only do this much today. I'll count it a win, or whatever. And I think that's probably our
Mhm.
biggest thing is the frustration that comes with it. Gets me that the most. When I'm sick, when I don't feel good, when I'm in pain, it's like the frustration of not being able to do what I need to do. So just being easy on yourself,
Mhm.
you know?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good one.
It's probably the most
Yeah, the
important thing.
frustration, I can relate with that. Because it's like you feel it's like you feel like you should be able to accomplish more,
Yeah,
and you're
you
just
do.
not.
Because normally
Yeah.
you can, right? I mean, that's the other problem. It's like we're terrible like that evaluation of normally I can, so I feel like I should still, but this is not normal.
Hmm.
It's an off week or
Yeah.
weeks.
And maybe just having faith that it will eventually end. Because guaranteed it will.
Yeah,
Guaranteed. I mean,
without
your
without a
physical
question.
form may not be here when that happens, but guaranteed it will end. And
Yeah.
so, like just like you mentioned with the ice bath, how you know there's an end to that, just actually having faith that there's also an end to this pain, whatever it may be.
Whatever that ending may entail.
Whatever.
Yeah,
Whatever that may be.
whatever that may be. I always like that about Epictetus because he always said, when we die, dying is the cessation of feeling. So there's nothing to fear because
Uh-huh.
there's nothing to feel. So it's like there's nothing to experience. Yeah,
Hmm.
I always like
Yeah.
that.
It makes sense. It's just like
Yeah.
it's like the moments leading up to death that are like it's the dying part isn't that bad. It's like you don't want it to be painful.
Yeah. Nobody wants it to be painful.
I don't want it to be like this. Like, I don't want my
No,
death to be like this
nobody
because that
wants it
would
to be
suck.
miserable. Yeah. And when it comes to that too, a lot of us I think about too, like we don't think about the actual person dying, but we think about everything else around it, like the people afterwards and stuff. But like that's not a concern for the person that dies. So
Not at
yeah,
all.
yeah.
Not at all. Let's see what other stuff. Oh, we were talking, I think maybe last week or something about like the whole Buddhist notion of suffering, how like, there's a in life there's suffering, there's a cause of suffering, there's a path to the end of suffering, all of that stuff. But like finding out that the path to the end of suffering is just recognizing that suffering is a part of life and you can't get, you know,
Yeah.
like,
You're not
so
getting
like
away
that's
from it.
just like, oh, so you just have to accept it. Yeah.
I think too, we can also look at these moments as I think as hard as it is, sometimes looking at these moments as a chance to grow too, or as a chance to like just reflect on ourselves too is positive and can help us. Like, like you'll get through this, you will, and then you'll have gotten through it, So like looking back on it, it'll look very different. Like you said too, the your ex- your memory of it will change dramatically over time. And so just kind of remembering that too, like, that this will be a chance to overcome ourselves, to learn something new, maybe to deal with things differently, to realize that we can still keep going even when things are like this. And that's
Hmm.
kind of a good thing to know because moving forward, if something happens, you can at least tell yourself, well, I got through that.
Yeah. You have the strength to do it.
Yeah,
Uh, one of the things that I was kind of laughing about over the past couple of weeks was like this saying that they had at AA, which was like the war's over, you already lost. And it's like dude, I was like, I've been like that the whole time. I'm like, I just freaking surrendered. Like I get it. I fucking lost. Like there's nothing I can do. And it's just like because fighting it just makes it worse. And
yeah,
yeah.
it does. But that's what I think that's our knee-jerk reaction is to fight these things, right? And to blame the world, to blame circumstances. And in reality, it's like, well, that doesn't get us anywhere, though. It's not going to help,
Mm-mm.
And it's like, and even making yourself feel like a victim doesn't actually help anything because that takes the control away from you and it takes any kind of agency away. So it just, in a sense, makes it worse. Yeah.
Okay, so you're talking about control. I've been trying to think about this in like the dichotomy of control. So we can
Yeah.
control our judgments, our actions, and our what was I
Responses
gonna
to
say?
things.
Decisions.
Yeah.
Yeah, that type
Thoughts.
of
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah. So I've been like, well, I have this judgment, this preference for no pain over pain. I have this
Yes.
judgment that this uncomfortable feeling is not good. But like you ever hear about those like super tough Navy SEALs who like get shot and they're like, well, if I'm in pain, it means I'm still alive. And I'm
Yeah.
like, well, I definitely don't have that attitude. How about trying to adopt that judgment? Like that's something that's in my control.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the truth, though. Like our perspective, the way we're thinking about something's totally in our control. And sometimes flipping that can be super helpful, like crazy helpful. I don't know if I could get that far, but it still hurts. But yeah,
I was
yeah,
I was
no,
going to the office this morning thinking, well, I'm in pain. It means I'm still alive.
yeah, at least you're still alive, right? And I
Yeah,
mean, on the other hand, too, like that pain, you know, looking at it that way too, like it could have been worse. Like the pain is also an indication that you can still use those, your shoulder and your arm, and like that it will
true.
come back, and it's an indication to take it easy, but you know that it will get better. Like so, I think that's also a positive thing to look at it that way.
Hmm, that's a good one.
If you felt nothing, that would be even worse.
True, true. Yeah. So any other thoughts or comments?
It's hard. Dealing with pain's hard. I think like, I think mostly just like going easy on yourself, thinking about your perspective, acknowledging it, those are all really helpful and can help you get through it and remembering that it will end. It will go away.
Yeah. Yeah. And the compassion, that's a good thing. Like what would you tell your best friend if they
Yeah.
were doing this? Because that's a helpful thing.
Oh, and doing what you can to improve it. So like what can I actually do to make this better? Even if it's like just sitting a weird way on the couch because that's comfortable, or like, taking medicate, doing the things that are appropriate to help you get healed as fast as possible too.
Yeah, that's a good one. I thought of that today or yesterday. Like, what can I do today to feel better? Because I knew I wasn't going to fix it probably, but I was like, what can I actually do just to feel a little bit better today?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Even if it's like just finding a way to sit where you can sit comfortably, for an hour can be a huge help though.
True.
Yeah.
True. So there you have it. If you're in pain, I feel for you. It sucks.
Yeah.
And
It just
unfortunately,
sucks.
unfortunately, there's no good solutions.
No.
But we've done what we can to help here. So this is
Yeah.
the Existential Stoic podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, like, share, subscribe, leave a good review, whatever it may be. We'll catch you next time. I'm Randy. That's Danny. I'll see you later, Danny.
Later, Randy.